think it's kind of exciting that you have a brand new asset class.
You guys some updates. So first of all, the bill to ban insider trading is ready to go, and it will be coming to the floor soon. Remember, there are people on both sides, both chambers, that are insider trading. Americans go to jail over this, but we do have a bill that will at least prohibit members of Congress, their dependent children, and their spouses from doing those individual stock trades, which I think will alleviate a lot in this country for the betterment of the American people, especially when it comes to legislation. So we're very happy about that. That will be on the floor in the next few weeks. And yes, there's a companion bill in the Senate. And so I think that that's a massive win for the American people and something that I'm happy to report.
All right, this is Digital Asset Guy. That's kind of interesting news. We know our friends in Congress do a lot of insider trading. I'm a little surprised that we haven't heard of more of them getting into crypto. It's kind of funny how they're saying all of their concerns about crypto and protecting investors. You know, it just shows that they really don't know, but they're all about the stock trading and insider trading. Here's something about our friend Nancy Pelosi last year.
There's a Tempest. She bought call options, which give her even more leverage. What that means is she isn't just up 117%. Looking at the data, we can see that her original investment of $75,000 is now worth $235,000. A 213% gain since we disclosed it a couple weeks ago. Trades like this are exactly why I tell people that.
All right, so there's a lot of this going on with members of Congress, and I feel bad for Martha Stewart. I don't know a lot about Martha Stewart, but I know that she went to jail for inside stock trades in 2006. She was in jail for like 5 months. Here she is showing things that she made in jail.
This is one of the most beautiful, if I do say so myself, creches, minus the hut. But this beautiful bunch of figurines I actually made when I was at Alderson. They had a pottery class at night, and even though every inmate was only allowed to do one a month, and I was only there for 5 months, I decided, I begged because I...
Well, anyway, we get the idea, but seems a little backwards. Here is Paul Atkins talking about the, let's see, what is it called? Empowering Main Street in America Act, which is talking about tweaking the rules of accredited investors. You know, that's something that I always thought was, well, it's something that was fundamental to crypto. Anyone can buy crypto. It's outside the system. No one can control it. If I would have had to be an accredited investor to buy crypto, would have never happened because I was a college kid. But here they're talking about those rules.
IMSA, for short, Act really does put us in a position to expand the definition of accredited investor, opening the door to investment opportunities for Americans based on their knowledge and qualifications and not just how much money they have. Chair Atkins, what is the SEC doing to expand the accredited investor definition and more broadly ensure that it does not take wealth to build wealth?
Well, thank you, Senator. I really agree with your points. And so I've been now at the SEC 3 times over the last 35 years, and each time this has been an issue that's been debated. And so I think it is time, and as you've put in your bill, to consider other alternatives. Why should a professor making $100,000 a year, who's an economist or whatever, finance professor, not be an accredited investor, but somebody who's just inherited $3 million or something like that is? So that's not the way that things should be. We should have ways for people who are willing to take risks and then demonstrate the knowledge that would be prerequisite to do this can come, whether that be by testing or something. But we need to be open for those alternatives.
Taking risks. That's something I certainly did with crypto, and it definitely paid off. But crypto can't be controlled and it was something I could just do, and it worked out. And so the whole accredited investor thing, there was talk of making crypto only accessible to accredited investors, which is laughable because that wouldn't have been possible, like the stock market. So speaking of being an investor, iTrust Capital is my favorite place to buy, sell, and hold crypto in an IRA or in their all new premium custody account, where you have institutional grade security and only a 1% trading fee. Whether you buy or sell, whatever you do, it's only 1%. Excuse me. And you can also stake inside of these accounts, especially staking inside the IRAs. That is, in my opinion, a no-brainer. And by the way, anything that I say, show, or talk about in any of these videos is not financial or investment advice and is for entertainment purposes only. So, all my personal opinion. All right, and speaking of exchanges and places to buy, sell crypto, Coinbase all of a sudden put out an alert. Coinbase says some users are unable to buy, sell, or transfer crypto as it investigates an issue. I have been involved in issues like this before. I'm not, trying to talk bad about, any particular crypto exchange. Coinbase has been great, but it is also the largest exchange, and it just seems to get pretty congested, especially in market highs and lows. Just something to think about. So right now we've seen a dip in the market. Bitcoin came down to 65,000 today. Remember about, a week or two ago, we touched about 62,000, I think, was the actual low. Yeah, about 62,000. And it looks like the rest of the market, alts are actually holding up pretty strong. I mean, we're almost back down to 62, and XRP's holding strong at $1.35 when it did go down to about $1.12. We've got a $78 Solana, Doge at 9 cents, still about 19 times higher than when I bought it back in the day. It was like free back in 2017. Cardano, 26 cents. We were down at our 25-cent Cardano for a couple days, 4 for $1. Let's take a look at VeChain down here. Oh, there's RLUSD, Ripple's stablecoin, climbing fast. I think that's the highest I've seen it. Number 45. And let's see, where is our precious VeChain? 0.7 of a penny. Still looking good. Again, I've seen this thing crash down to 0.2 of a penny and survive, like back in the COVID crash. It's looking pretty strong to me. So here is Paul Atkins again talking about the good old Clarity Act, which they say is long overdue. I think it's almost comical how they're stringing this thing along. I mean, I just wonder, they just go back and forth almost every day, and I don't know, I just see how they're getting everybody's eyes on it. It's getting a lot of attention, but I just see it passing when it passes, which is when the good news passes, which is coming out of a bear market or in a bull market. Right now, we are in the depths of a bear market.
I also support congressional efforts to enact the Clarity Act. Upon its passage, the Commission stands ready to implement this landmark legislation. A federal framework for crypto markets is long overdue. Under Commissioner Hester Peirce's leadership of our crypto task force, SEC staff has provided more clarity in the past year than in the prior decade, but there is no action we can take that future-proofs our rulebook more formidably than nonpartisan market structure legislation. As Congress completes its vital work, CFTC Chairman Mike Seelig and I intend to provide a bridge towards legislation. Through our now joint Project Crypto, we will consider a token taxonomy to offer both investors and innovators a clear understanding of their regulatory obligations. We will also look to consider exemptions that would allow market participants to move and transact on chain.
On chain. Good stuff. It'll be great once they get it passed. Right now, all we can do is talk about it every day, back and forth. Paul Barron, I really respect this guy a lot. I think he's really great at what he does. He's basically a technology journalist. He's talking about Tom Lee, who I've talked about a lot lately, the world's biggest holder of Ethereum, and he's kind of highlighting the fact that Tom Lee is ignoring the importance of the Clarity Act. Listen to this.
The other thing, Tom Lee not mentioning a word about Clarity. Why is that? Why is the number one ETH man not going after Clarity? That's to me is a con in terms of maybe it's not passing.
Maybe it's not passing. Yeah, that's the thing. I personally think Tom Lee is more data-driven and numbers-driven, and he knows the Clarity Act will pass when it passes, probably coming out of this bear market in the spring or the early summer. And I just don't think he cares. I think he's going by the market cycles, and he's been putting his money where his mouth is, buying the dip on Ethereum. Yeah, it keeps dipping, but he keeps buying more. And, so right now, all the people getting into Ethereum, they might be underwater, but, I bought most of my Ethereum back in 2017, 2018, in that bear market. So as long as you're in the market, you're up. And then if you're getting in now, if you are looking long term, in the next bull run, we'll have a bear market after that. People say the same thing, but if you hold, that bear market will be less, violent than this one. And then the next one will be even less, where the bear markets they're not quite as big of a deal if you have time in the market. If you're timing the market, you're going to have trouble with that. You'll be upside down and underwater. But this whole idea that they must be upside down underwater if the market's down, that's not necessarily true. It depends on when they bought. So here is another interesting point. Anthony Scaramucci talking about how Democrats are about to pass crypto market structure because for political reasons before the midterms, which I totally agree with. But midterms are a little ways away, which is why I could see this thing passing in the summer, late spring, early summer.
It's because I've talked to several Democrats in the House and our two senators, Schumer and Gillibrand. They want the deal done. They do not want to go up against Fair Shake and the corporate crypto businesses, publicly traded, who are going to spend a ton of money shooting at them in the midterms. So I do think it gets done. And it probably gets done even before, McHenry said Memorial Day. I actually think it gets done before that.
Okay, well, we'll see if he's right. I can see it. All right, and then this is kind of cool. Just in, Ripple and Coinbase among crypto CEOs tapped for CFTC Advisory Council. And so this is... Brad Garlinghouse, Brian Armstrong, and then Brian Armstrong shared the official document. And here we can see Brian Armstrong is there. Brad Garlinghouse, CEO Ripple. Let's see who else is on here. Anatoly Yakovenko is the Solana CEO. With a name like that, you got to be good. Tyler Winklevoss, one of the Winklevoss twins. These are all very important people. A NASDAQ CEO, Adina Friedman. Tom Farley is the CEO of Bullish. Very cool. Oh, CEO of Poly Market, Copeland, a lot of heavy hitters. So I think things are evolving kind of predictably. Is that a word? Yeah. So things to look out for. Now I do think with this whole banning Congress from insider stock trading, I do think there is a sneaky aspect to this, where basically the day that this happens and they ban Congress from owning stocks, that's probably the top of the stock market. Because if you think about it and invert it, if they ban Congress members from owning stocks, they probably have to sell their stocks. So that's the way they can sell their stocks, dump it on the market, and it be okay, because they have to, because they're not allowed to hold stocks. So I think that'll be an interesting thing to watch. They've talked about this for years, and we've just watched Congress sitting, Congress people insider trade all they want, so it's interesting. But then they complain about crypto and say how dangerous it is, and they've all come out saying Trump coin, there's something wrong, he should not be able to do that. Why not? You can make a coin. We could have Nancy Pelosi coin. Would anyone buy it? I don't know, but anyone can do it. You can't stop them. They have an internet connection, they can do it basically. And that's the beauty of this technology, and I think that intimidates some people who are used to being in control. So it's going to be interesting, to say the least, to see how all this stuff works out. Definitely clarity, the new legislation, and then watching the market evolve. But again, I just think this is a buying opportunity, not financial or investment advice. And I think it's just a second chance before all this goes off with the Clarity Act. We've got Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, on this committee for the CFTC innovation. Big stuff. All right. Thank you very much for listening and dealing with my coughing on the backside of this, whatever I had with the cold weather. But I just have this cough where it just like chokes me, where I just have to. So thank you for bearing with me. Hopefully I get rid of it soon. Digital Asset Guy out.